Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! And they are back on terms!
Hello and good evening. Welcome to Do It Up Talk. This is the Run Night podcast, and we have another stress-free episode. I'm loving these stress-free episodes. They are brilliant. Not to worry about anything. It's chill. It's great. Honestly, I'm in love with them. Give it another week. I'm begging for the stress to come back from the game. But, that's where we are in the summer. Nick, hello.
Hello.
How are you? Yeah, I'm good. Are you?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I've got a delay on. I'm on here in Rotherham. Is there a delay?
Oh, it's a good start for us. Danny, you're with us as well. Hello, Danny. How you doing?
Should we start again?
Yeah, let's.
I would say that there's a huge delay on my end. I'm gonna leave and join back. So 2 minutes.
Oh man, this is a great start. But again, Mick, season's finished. It doesn't really matter, does it?
I don't care now, mate. I'm not interested.
Oh, brilliant. We've got people with us. Scott Gunn is with us. Paul Brock. Scott Gunn is looking forward to silly season. Yes. Luca Wild Goose is with us. Harvey Kerwick, Adrian Miller. Philip Hull says, good morning from down under. Luca says, great start, lads. Correct. Yeah. If you're a long time listening to the show, this is what happens. Blame the Wi-Fi. We'll find out who Danny's company is, and we'll give some grief in a minute, Mick. I think that's a good place to start, isn't it?
Well, yeah, ours has dropped out today as well at some stage earlier on today, so who knows? Anything could happen.
Absolutely anything. It probably won't. S64 Millers is with us. Jolly-Ann Simpson is with us. Mick, how are you enjoying these few weeks without Rotherham United football, actual football?
I'm bordering on missing it.
You're nearly there.
Yeah, it's not going to be very long, is it? Before I start thinking, God, is it that long before the season starts? Yeah, it's good though. It's nice to see lots of other people sweating and moaning and crying. I love that. That's been it's been quite a good week for that. So I've enjoyed it. Yeah, it's it's certainly better than that run up to Gillingham.
Oh yeah, we will. So the game plan for this episode is we will have a bit of a chat about the playoff situation as it stands. We may even have a sneaky mention of the championship players because they do affect us. Obviously, depending on what we may talk about those. Danny is back with us. Danny, how is your Wi-Fi?
I have fixed it.
That is exactly what we wanted to hear.
I went up to it and I hit it with a hammer and it worked. So that's advice for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get started. I should point out we missed an award on last episode. Obviously, did an award night, and we've got one for the funniest moment of the season. I thought let's start the episode with that. And the winner of that one is.
I think what's the nominees?
There's only one. It's Patrick Roberts' goal at Hillsborough on the other night.
All right.
Playoffs, Danny. Just beautiful at times, isn't it? Just football's just a wonderful sport.
Yeah, it's. I mean, what are the playoffs? We don't know anything about that this season, do we? We've got it over the line early and not bothered with that. And we've got two absolutely huge clubs in the final now. We've got Wickham and Sunderland, both who have made League One a bit of a show this season and have a flair for the dramatic. But Sheff Wednesday don't seem to have a flair for the dramatic, but we do as well. So, yeah. I won't be watching the playoff final. I don't think it'll just be a little look of, oh, who's with us? All right, okay, fair enough. But out of the two, I'll take Sunderland.
Yeah. The championship's just not for everybody, Mick, is it? Not everybody can. It's not for everybody.
It's not, is it? And it's tough, It's tough having to go through that process having not been good enough for the 46 games prior to that to get into automatics. So it's difficult. And I've got a certain amount of sympathy for nobody.
Very enjoyable. Thank you very much, Patrick Roberts, for that moment.
What I would say is that I was very, very disappointed on, when was it? Was it Monday night, the game? I can't remember now.
Yes, Monday.
Yeah,
yes.
I was very, very disappointed on Tuesday on social media. The lack of bites and everything else was just, it kind of took the gloss off it a little bit for me, really. But there you go.
Yeah. But do you not enjoy their light show? The light show was, summer.
Well, yeah, I thought the music were a bit crap, but I don't know who did that. The post with the Adele music on the top of it. That was genius.
It was. Yeah, it were. Absolutely glorious. Donald London says, good about Reg. Obviously, that's about him returning. So, yeah, we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Woody signing to do a contract, Mikel Miller's leaving. And then we've got a bit of a silly season chat. We've got all the players linked with Rotherham so far. Danny's picked out a couple of ones that haven't really been linked, but we're still sort of have an issue looking at. Yeah. Bruce Vernon says he was expecting to see Robbie Williams to come out when the light show started at Hillsborough. Yeah,
it was just weird, weren't it?
It were.
I mean, is that something that they do?
I don't know.
I'm a bit speechless about it, if I'm perfectly honest. But
yeah,
oh dear,
it was very, very odd. I was just give a shout out. Mick today is International Nurses Day, so I thought we'd give a shout out to all the Millers nurses and non-Millers nurses because they all do an amazing job. We salute you all doing a very tough job. Not the only ones doing a tough job, but a very, very tough job. Donald London. The funniest Wednesday thing is the Mario Kart one, which was from I think the IFC tweeted that out. Just glorious work, everybody. It's just brilliant. Mick, did you see the repair shop on Wednesday evening?
No, just because I'm old, it doesn't necessarily mean that I watch old people's programs.
Your mum will not like you saying that.
Well, by definition, my mum's older than me,
Okay.
But no, I didn't. But I've seen some of the social media posts about it, which so I may well go back and have a little gander at that. We'll see. Yeah,
I reckon you do. Pete took his Rotherham United flat cap on from like 30 years ago, and they do it up, and it's really, really good. It's very cool. I like it very much. I highly recommend it, as Ben would say. I think it's download on. If you've got Sky, you can download it on iPlayer. I think you can. Danny, you back with us?
I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi, lads.
Well, let's crack on and let's start with Woody. Let's start with good news. We like to start with good news, don't we? The Magic Man has confirmed his contract. This has been in the offing since about February, Danny. It's finally been confirmed that Richard Wood will go into his 9th season as a Rotherham United player. And even if he didn't play a single minute next season, and I know he will, it would still be a good re-signing because he is such a guy to have around. He's just amazing. I just love him.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that Woody's re-signed the deal because we've now got that leader back in the dressing room, haven't we? We've now got that secure. And I've now got a secure connection because I'm using my data and not my Wi-Fi, so happy days. But yeah, Woody re-signed it, extending his deal by a year. I think it's now putting the blocks into place that I think Woody will finish his career with us and move into a coaching role at some point. But I still think he's got a job to do in the Championship next season for sure. Yeah, it might not play the full 46 games or anything, but I do think at vital moments he will be, the guy to get a result over the line or to get the dressing room up for a game or keep them upbeat after a loss or something. So there's a lot of strings to Woody's bow, if you like,
in re-signing this season. It's not just an on-the-pitch job that he'll do, it's everything else as well.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen people mix speaking in the same way they do about Will Grigg, sort of going, "Oh, Richard Wood in Championship." I don't know about that, but I don't see why not. We've talked about the back three last season. We talked with Woody about the back three and how it almost protects him from the sort of weaknesses of his game.
Yeah,
that's not going to change in the Championship. If anything, that position is going to suit him more because he's going to be deeper. He's not so he's not going to. Nobody's really going to be able to get in behind him as much, because he's going to be deeper in the pitch because we're going to be under the cosh a little bit. We're going to be much more defensive. So if anything, it could actually work in his favour being in the Championship because he hasn't got to worry about people getting him behind as much.
Listen, we've spent 3 years doing this podcast, and each year said that this is going to be Woody's last year. He's not going to cut it at this level. He's not going to do this. He's not going to do that. Like Danny says, I'd be very surprised if he plays 46 games for us next year, but he will play a big part, a massive part. And just keeping him in and around the squad is a huge benefit to us. The experience that he's got just with us, take away the experience he got prior to joining us. It's immense, and he can impart that on some of the younger players and have a massive effect on it. So yeah, it's a big signing for us.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit ridiculous that as soon as he's been here 32 years, but it is important. It's really, really important, and it's a great place to start for me, definitely.
Yeah, and only taking 1 year away from a testimonial, which would be incredible as well.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
John Simpson says he's a good, strong head to have in the change room. Yeah, absolutely. And Woody is almost like a father figure, says Scott Gunder. Yeah, exactly. And we obviously don't know at this stage what's going to happen with Icky. Icky could still leave, and then if Icky goes, that makes Woody's role even more important because we lose a leader. Yeah, but the rumours are Matic might never get renewed. Another strong head we're losing, so Woody's role becomes even more important.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I want to say a lot more, but I sort of run out of things to say about Woody. He's just great, isn't
he? We've said so much about him over the years, haven't we? And he just keeps delivering. And he will continue to deliver, even if he doesn't pull that shirt on in a match next season. He will still have a big impact on Rotherham United. It's fantastic. It's great news.
Yes, it is. 110% agree. Sorry. The other news that's come out today. I thank you to the club for announcing both of these on Thursday, so we can talk about them.
Yeah.
I'm sure the retained list will be released, 10 o'clock tomorrow, a couple of hours after we release the podcast. But as we stand now, Wood is the only confirmed re-signing. Mikel Miller is the first person to confirm he is not staying at the club. Danny, he confirmed on his Instagram that he is leaving the club, or is not renewing his contract. We don't know which way around who's decided, but that's irrelevant, really. This is, again, something we talked about. His injuries have done him, because if he was fit for 46 games last season, he gets a new contract, doesn't
he? Yeah, I think so. I think it is a shame that Miller's moving on, because on his day he was a very good winger. But no, we've obviously had the conversation, and he's made up his mind that he wants to move on. And I think it's one of them where he just goes with our blessing. Isn't it, really? He's not really put a foot wrong, like you say. I think if he were fit enough throughout the whole season, he probably gets a new contract. But he's one of them players that wherever he ends up now, we'll go with our blessing. And I don't think he'll be a player that if we meet him again with a different club, we'll boo him, which is great. Because some players leave on the bad note and you boo them when they come back. I mean, one example is George Hurst, for example, Lewis Wing. But I don't think that'll happen with Mikel Miller. I think we'll meet him again, and he'll probably get a round of applause. I think. Yeah, he's just been one of them. He's been solid when he's played, and he's just unfortunate that he's been injured, so he hasn't played more, which has led to him leaving. But all the best to him.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, it's not like he got injured, but it's not like he refused to train, refused to play, didn't come to the squad for certain events and things like that. So I think you're right. I think he will get a decent reception. Russ Vernon says Miller would have signed a new deal if he was offered one. He told me at home at Oxford. Yeah, I think he would have done. It'd been daft not to. Another chance at Championship, but I don't think he's going to get another Championship offer, Mick. But that's a really good thing for somebody in League One, or maybe he might go back to Scotland. He came from Scotland. He could always go back to Scotland. He is going to be a really, really good player for somebody if they can keep him fit.
That's the major issue, isn't it? And some players are like this. Some players are plagued by injuries throughout the career, aren't they? Some really, really good footballers who end up just retiring early because they just can't keep fit. It's a shame. It's a real shame because he seems like a lovely lad, and not only that, he's a hell of a player. And as I think it's Anthony Greenwood in the comments there, he's one of the best crossers of the ball that we've had. You can put it on a sixpence. He's very, very good. But it's interesting, again, it's the good human being side of stuff. But with Paul Warne, it shows that him and his team have got a ruthless streak as well. Yeah. Because they could quite easily have kept him on and hope that we could get a half a season out of him or whatever. But they're not prepared to do that. It's there is a bit of a ruthless streak in there as well, which is good to see. It's good to see, but it is a shame for Mikel Miller.
Yeah, it is. But like I said, he's going to pick up another club very comfortably.
Oh,
he's not going to be.
Yeah.
He's not going to be skirting around for stuff, is he? Thankfully.
I doubt it very much.
Russ Vernon says, I'm back on Woody. I was wondering if Woody's new contract has a coaching role involved, which hasn't been announced by the club. I don't know for certain. Possibly, Danny, but what I would say to that, when we spoke to him last year, August, September time, which I highly recommend everybody goes back and listen to, it's brilliant. He clearly wants to go into coaching, but he sort of suggested that when he goes into coaching, he sort of feels like he'll be pushed out of the team. Not pushed out of the team, but that his role will go away from being a player as much. So that may happen, but for me, I would be surprised just because of maybe how Woody sees his career. I'm probably not worded that very well, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get you. I think we spoke to Woody just before the Fleetwood game at home. I think it was because we've got a very unfortunate streak of last season now that whenever we spoke to a player, we lost the next game. Happened with Woody, Victor, Barlas, everybody.
There's no wonder we can't get anybody else on.
I know exactly. It's like, no, we're not having it. We'll lose next game, sure. But anyway, I know that Woody did do a little bit of coaching, I think, with the development squad last season, just to to see how he does, sort of thing. And personally, I don't think he'll have a coaching role written into his current deal, because we know what Woody's like. He'll want to play until he basically drops, won't he? And I think when that starts happening, that's when he'll start saying, like coaching and player, joint deal sort of thing. But I don't know. I think Woody's still prepared to go all guns blazing at the Championship, and I think it's the one thing he needs to tick off now: a survival season as captain with Rotherham in the Championship. As soon as he ticks that off, then he can effectively do whatever he likes. But I think most of the squad now have got the bit between the teeth of right. We've been promoted, we've gone down, been promoted, gone down. We've been promoted and won a cup competition, so that's a double tick. And now we need the survival season, and I think that might be a selling point for a few players.
Yeah, I hope so. I think you're probably right. We've still no word on Michael Smith. If you read Paul Davis' article through the Advertiser, you'll know by the sound of it, we've thrown the kitchen sink at him, hoping he stays. Whether that comes to it, we'll obviously have to wait and see. I think it said in there we're hoping for a response by the end of the month. So still half a month away from potentially from a decision on that. But it's a good time to point out and remind everybody of the great work that Kev Johnson's done with raising some cash for, first of all, getting Smith a shirt, which he looked dead chuffed about, and they ended up raising 2,200 quid for Rotherham Hospice, which is an incredible figure. So all thanks to Kev for doing that, but also, more importantly, thanks to everybody who's donated and chucked some money into that. Whoever you are, thank you. It's a great cause, as we all know. And a great story. Rotherham United's full of great stories this season. Add another one to the list. It's a great story. Love it. Absolutely love it. Now, moving on to rumours. We'll come on to transfer rumours in a minute. Mick, do you hate this time of the season?
Yeah. I do because I mean, particularly since the advent of social media, it's just you've got so much dross out there. It's impossible to make any sort of considered judgment on it, on whether there's any truth in it, because probably I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, it's not even 99 times out of 100. It's more than that. This is just people fishing, It's just people throwing as much as they possibly can at a fan and hoping some of it, or at wall and hoping some of it sticks. It's just nonsense. So all we can do is sit and wait. Yeah, we can have sort of ideas of who we'd like to get and who's available and everything else, but ultimately it's all guesswork, isn't it? It's all guesswork.
Yes, it is. When I was younger, when I was about 10 years ago, when Twitter was quite new, I used to be one of those people that made up transfer rumours. but from my personal account, I didn't create a fake account and pretend to be ESL or something like that. From a personal account, I used to tweet out, this person's linked with Swansea. Be a great move if it happens. Stuff like that. And it is so easy. So many people bite to it. And that were 10 years ago. Now, look how many professional-looking accounts there are now. It was great fun. Deadline day were amazing. It was such good fun.
You need to get out more, Matt.
I've got kids and I ain't got time for that anymore. Showstone said on the Smith thing, Smith made a donation as well, apparently, which is beautiful. The first one is not transfer room. Scott Grunner said, thoughts on Swansea headhunting Rob Scott? Now, this is potentially a worrying one, Dad. If true, big if. Because the recruitment since Rob Scott's come in, excluding the championship season, well, the loans in the championship season, has been spot on. You look at Chio, you look at Barkhouse, you look at the list can go on. So if that is true, that is obviously a concern, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely a concern. But I personally can't see it happening because I don't know. Call me superstitious and call it a gut feeling and such, but why would you leave at this point? You know what I mean? Like, he's effectively in the deep end of potentially building something special with this football club. That whole niche group of they've played together and now they're on the staff together. They're in the middle of building something special. So I can't see why he'd go now. And especially to Swansea, which is a fair clip away. Like, I know with recruitment and stuff, you can effectively do it from your front room, but you still have to go into an office and talk to the manager and, and actually go out and do things over in Swansea. And I don't think it would be effective for him to do that while still living in Rotherham. So I can see why Swansea would want to get Rob Scott, because he has got a big record of getting some good players, and like with Chio and just to name one of them. But personally, I can't see him leaving in the middle of building something special. I'll try and collar him when I take Finn out tomorrow and ask him if he's actually going.
Yeah, I was going to say you live near, don't you?
Yeah, I'll be out with Finn and just go, now then, Scotty, is it true you're going to Swansea? And if he just goes, no, I'll let you know.
Yeah, they like the Scott name. Andy Scott, former other manager, obviously, I think his brother Rob Scott. Up until December last year was Swansea's head of recruitment. So that's quite. Maybe somebody's just been very lazy, and maybe that's where the links come from. Again, that wouldn't surprise me.
Sure it's not secretly you, Matt, reliving the old days 10 years ago?
No comment. I couldn't possibly comment that kind of thing. It's just strange seeing those things making it. It's like get a chief exec being linked with somewhere. It's just a strange link you see in modern football, clearly. It
is, and the fact that it's so strange is possibly worrying about, a little bit worrying. It's a bit sort of appears left field on the face of it, but We'll wait and see. The thing about what Rob Scott's doing at the moment is building himself a reputation, a really good reputation. I would argue he's probably not there yet. You know, he's still got some work to do to really cement his name and everything else as being at the top of his game, if you like. From our point of view, the benefit of that is that it's not like being a player where your career is sort of limited by time. You know, the only thing that gets better with time in that business is you get experience and you become better. You know, over a period of time, you don't sort of hit a peak and start going back downhill. His job is only half done, and he's working in an environment that clearly he enjoys, with people who he knows and he knows well, and where he lives. So, you know, it would take a huge. You would have thought it would take a huge sort of incentive for him to leave. Are Swansea in a position to offer that kind of incentive? I don't know. I mean, I don't know where they sit financially. They don't seem to be up the top of the you know, spending money like the proverbial man with no arms table, do they? You know what I mean? They seem to, on the face of it, I know nothing about them, but on the face of it, they seem to be a reasonably well-run club. So I don't know. Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? But you would hope that it'll stay and continue to build, like Danny says, what he's building here, or what he's helping to build with us.
Yeah,
big loss for us, Matt. It'd be a big loss, I think.
I agree.
Yeah,
I completely agree. He ticks all boxes, as we say a lot. We say this all the time, don't we? But he ticks a lot of boxes. He ticks almost every box you can think of. He had good experience. He knows the club. He's close with the manager. He's clearly a bit ruthless in his job, or he wouldn't be in that job anyway. He seems to tick everything. And like I said, his record, other than the odd loan signing, the record speaks for itself, really. I don't know. Let's hope it sticks that way. There were good news in the pay again from Paul Davis and the Advertiser about Tony Stewart saying we will get an increased transfer budget or increased budget for Paul Ward in the summer. I think the quote was something along the lines of, "We know there's the time for an investment, and the time is now." Essentially, big words, Danny, and I know it doesn't sound like big words, but as a football fan, if you hear those words, that means we're going to start spending a bit of money, hopefully.
Yeah, it means we're getting Lionel Messi in from PSG, doesn't it? But yeah, Tony sort of alluded to it at the excuse me, at the town hall, that he was going to put a little bit of investment into it during his speech. And I think if you had sharp ears, you picked up on it like, ooh, something exciting could be happening. And now he's confirmed it, and it might be one of the reasons behind the slight increase on season ticket renewals. Maybe not, but I don't know. I think that might be to pay off any debts that the lads got in Vegas, to be honest. But yeah, the words of there's an investment coming for Paul Ward this season has made a lot of Rotherham fans smile. Even the ones who says, "Oh, Tony needs to loosen the purse strings and invest in this, that, and other," they're happy. The ones who are happy with him anyway know he's now going for the survival and isn't going to be more of a spend within the means. It's more of a right, let's go for it sort of thing. And I think you just need to look at the likes of Brentford and Luton and Preston to a point, you know, clubs that are bigger than ourselves, but they got that little bit of cash injection, a little bit more investment, and it sort of steadied their championship ship. And I think it's probably now our time to do the same. You know, we've seen it work at other clubs. Not guaranteed it'll work with us, but Tony Stewart's willing to take that gamble and willing to pump a bit more money into it, which is quite exciting now, because it's like, yeah, we're definitely going to stay up now. Now that he's said that, it's going to ring true end of season, we're staying up.
Correct. We're going to make playoffs, aren't we? It's just going to happen.
No. We're going to go for double promotion, Matt.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, Mick, it's the sort of same question. I suspect you're more reserved than us.
I am, yeah. I am. I mean, I don't want Tony Stewart doing it. What a stupid thing I was going to say there. I was going to say I don't want Tony Stewart doing something that he can't afford. There is no way that Tony Stewart would ever do that, because that's not the kind of guy he is. You know, he's not going to put this club into debt. So I would hope that people are not expecting him to be, you know, dishing out £1 million here and £1 million there on a couple of players or 4 players or whatever, it'll be done wisely, I'm sure. And I kind of suspect come the back end of July, there'll be some of our supporters disappointed about the amount of money that's been spent, because I can't see any marquee signings. I can't see that that's the way that we're going to operate. I suspect it will be very much of a muchness, really, in terms of how we recruit. But it might be that we're in a position to fish in a slightly higher pond, a better pond, if you like, for that type of player. We'll have to wait and see. But don't forget as well, like I don't know what I said on the last podcast or whenever it was, the investment doesn't necessarily have to be on bringing in new players. The wage structure needs a review, obviously, now that we've gone up. And looking at the way that the wage structure has been the last couple of times we've been in the Championship, that may well have affected us in terms of the quality of player that we've been able to bring in, not necessarily for a fee, but even on a free or whatever. Yeah. So I suspect some of it will go on that, and possibly, on new contracts to keep some of our key players who are out of contract. So it's kind of hidden spending, isn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not massively overt, but I've absolutely no doubt that they're determined to make sure that they do all they can financially to get us in a position to consolidate a place in that league. Listen, we're not a million miles off, are we?
No, we're not.
We are not a million miles off with the squad that we've got. We're really not. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting couple of months. It's just going to be slow, isn't it? Because there's no football.
Yeah, we'll let it do. Will Roebuck says, if there's a time to break the yo-yo, it's now. I think maybe a failure next season may call for change in Warney. He hopes not, though, because he would have him for another 100 years if he could. Yeah, and that's the thing, Mick, that there's always that worry. There's always that worry that if things don't go well, Tony might be thinking, you know what, let's have a bit of a change here. If we go down.
Possibly. It depends on the circumstances of it, doesn't it? And it's perhaps a conversation for another day. I personally, even if we went down, I wouldn't swap it. Unless we go down with 10 points and get absolutely trounced week in, week out. Because I could see what's happening. I genuinely, obviously, hope that it doesn't even come close to being anything like that. And I don't think it will. I genuinely don't. But I mean, the question would be probably if we struggle again, and there has been some investment, will Warney think to himself, "Well, hang on a minute, am I good enough for this?" And will he walk? Rather than Tony Stewart push him. I think it'd take a massive problem for Tony Stewart to get rid of Warney at the moment, and I don't think he would. Well, I wouldn't personally, but that's just my view.
No worries. Yeah, I agree. Danny, we'll test you. You're back on your laptop. We'll test it out. Thoughts on the season ticket price increase, equivalent to £1 a game over the course of the season. First time in 8 years if you've renewed every season. I can't really complain.
Yeah, no, I'm not bothered at all. Not bothered at all. just a quid extra per game, and you're already getting a discount off match day tickets anyway. I mean, yeah, for some people it might ring differently. Like paying a bit more money for the season ticket. I've seen a couple Wigan fans pipe up because their season tickets are cheaper. Someone tried to claim they were £100 cheaper when he was applying a fan discount to it, which doesn't count. But you can do that if you're Wigan. You can charge the same rates, but because there's more people through the gates anyway, you can offer the season ticket slightly lower and still make a decent return on it. But for us, if we are obviously putting some more money into it somewhere and want to bring in a little bit more revenue for the club itself, if that means putting up a match day price by £1 on your season ticket, I'm not bothered, But yeah, I just want to apologise to you both and everybody watching. The Wi-Fi is holding stable now on the computer. I have no idea what was up with it because you two just weren't moving at times and it sounded like you were trying to talk through it like the other end of a paint can. That's how bad it was. So then I went onto my phone, which is why you were like had an angle of looking at my double chin, which was humiliating. And that started conking out. So it's like, right, I'm going to try the computer again. And here we are. And now it's working.
So hopefully it sticks this time. We don't know.
Yeah, fingers
Joy
crossed.
is live broadcasting.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Mick, we other clubs complain about prices. You think about Wigan. Wigan are trying to attract more people into their stadium because they need to fill their stadium because they don't fill it anyway. We don't need to do that. We couldn't get we had 2,000 more season ticket holders. That'd cause a problem because we'd have about 8,000 season ticket holders. Bear in mind, there's 2,000 away tickets probably per week in this league. You've got almost no match day ticket sales. So that's what I suppose. I don't know. I might be wrong. I might be being an idiot, but that's also why our prices are what they are.
Yeah, I think there can't be any complaints about it and I have not seen any complaints from any Rotherham fans, to be honest with you. Is it 8 years? This is the first price increase in 8 years.
Yeah,
and it's £1 a match. I mean, Gordon Bennett, you can't complain about that. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous for the entertainment that you've had for those 8 years and not to get a price increase every year. It's madness. As far as we're going to concern, I don't know. I don't know what their situation is. They've got a rich owner, haven't they? I think.
True.
So they've been bought out of administration. Whether that rich owner is going to go down the same route and they'll end up in the same place or not is another matter. Who knows? I don't know. But that's not our problem, is it? We're great where we are. Yeah, it would be great to be able to get more people through the door, but that's not happening, is it? It's not going to happen for the foreseeable future. It's a slow process.
Yes. Do we have an option to extend one of the stands to get more fans in? Yes. I think the family stand is from what I remember, this is 8 years ago when they first opened. I think it's an easy extension to about 16,000 from 12, and it can extend to 20, but that would take a bit more work when it's sort of ready to go if needs be. So we have an option to extend to 20,000 if and when. I mean, we need to get to Premier League for that, I think.
We need to be selling out every week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we're not doing that. So,
no. I think the ground itself was designed to be extended, and I think it's your north, east, and south stands that are like the easy extensions, if you like, because you just like sort of build more seats and just push it outwards a bit, don't you?
Almost.
Yeah. But I think it's the west stand which would need the major development if we're going to push to 20k. But I don't know. I think we're all right as we are. I think the only time we really start talking about that is if we're a very stable championship club, finishing like in the top 10 sort of thing. But for the time being, 12,000 suits us. It gets us called Tin Pot and such by other clubs, and then we get to prove them wrong, which is even better. We get the attendance police after us a few times, but we don't care because we prove them wrong again. Yeah.
Correct.
There's going to be the attendance police for the playoff final, isn't there? Like, oh, we've got more fans than the Papa John's Trophy final. It's like, we don't care because we won a trophy from it.
Correct. Right. We're going to have a quick word from Manscape, Ben's wonderful Manscape advert, and then we will get into some proper transfer rumours. We'll see in a minute. Thank you.
Manscape, who very kindly decided to sponsor us. They're promoting their new product, the Lawnmower 4.0. Which is kind of well known for reducing cuts and making it a lot easier to trim your balls. You can buy this separately or in a bundle called the Performance Package, which in that you get a ball toner, and ball deodorant, which are actually very handy because they're specifically designed for your balls, so they work very well. I highly recommend all of this. The lawnmower, it comes with a little light. There that comes on when you turn the razor on. So it's very good. It comes with a little charging port, which is also a little holder. Yeah, I highly recommend it. I use it, and I highly recommend it.
You highly recommend it, Ben? You highly recommend that somebody goes to manscape.com and enters the code NYT for free shipping and 20% off. So that's manscape.com for 20% off free shipping using the code NYT. And Ben highly recommends it.
Yes, he does. Ben highly recommends Manscape. Thank you, Ben. Just an FYI, we said we were going to do his predictions tonight, today on this episode. We're going to leave that until Sunday because both Lewis and Ben are available, and it was us 5 that did our preseason predictions. So we're going to do it on Sunday. We're going to have a good old laugh about how stupid we all were. Back in.
I'm not ready at all for that. I've completely forgotten what my predictions were.
I've got them. The only one I've looked at, I'm going to try not to look at. The only one I've looked at is I know Mick predicted first. So Mick's going to win that round, I think. But then the rest of it's up for grabs. Although I don't recall Ben claiming Richard would be the breakout star. So I don't think Ben's won that round either. I don't know what to say on that.
The only thing I can say with our predictions, right? I don't know if you've seen, but there's a YouTuber called The Irish Guy, and he did his championship predictions for the last 2 seasons. And out of 48 predictions, he has got 1 right. So anything better than that, we've got the bragging rights. That's all I'm saying. And the only one he got right was Fulham winning the league this season, and that was it. So as long as we're a little bit better than that, I'm happy.
Yeah, I've checked my Premier League predictions, and I predicted Leeds and Norwich to go down. And as things stand, Leeds and Norwich are both going to go down. So I am quite happy with that. I can't remember what my third team were, but they're not going down. Anyway, let's move on. Transfers. Let's talk about some transfers. Danny's done loads of research. We've got 5 names, and I've added a 1 in as well. So let's start with Izzy Brown because he's one we know. I've put a little bit of information together. Danny's going to have information. So for everybody that's sort of just ordered listening, we'll read out the sort of screen grab we've just put up for everybody. So Izzy Brown, the stats, a few stats. He is 25-year-old now. He's now out of contract. Preston have now confirmed his release. The stats that jump out there to me, Mick, though, are in the last season, appearances 0. His last appearance being in April 2021. And also, if you look at his rumoured wage, according to Salary Sports, $8,000 a week. They're 2 issues for me, 2 big issues, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's not worth $8,000 a week, is he? No. For a start at the moment. We've seen his potential when he played for us. He was a young lad, but he spent probably since leaving us and to where he is now, he must have spent 50% of that on treatment table. And that's an issue for him. There's no doubt he's a very, very, very good player. There's no question about that. But there's a touch of the Mikel Miller there, isn't there? You know, it would be a massive risk to have him back. I really liked him. I thought he was a classy lad, a classy player, and he fits the Paul Warne mould as well. But injuries, you know. That's a big red flag for me at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, Danny, that if you can get him in a contract that is heavily appearance-based, he is worth the risk. Because if you're not paying much out per week, but if he is injured, it's almost a free hit. And for someone like Izzy Brown, he's got to understand that who is going to pay the money he has been on for somebody who's not played for what will be 18 months nearly.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I just say, this is all looking very professional. I'm quite impressed with this. This is similar to the time I went on the Wimbledon podcast, and they had a big telly with all these slideshows on showing plays and everything. So, yeah, A star for effort, Matt. But yeah, with the taking the risk with Izzy, I think he's just at the point now where he just needs a little bit of stability. Because whilst he was on Chelsea's books, he never really settled anywhere. It was like a short loan or a season loan away. But during that time, he really became quite renowned, especially at Luton, because in his season he was there, which was checking notes, which was 1920 season. He did very, very well on loan there. He also did quite well on loan at Sheffield Wednesday because he assisted Matt Crooks in our famous goal that Freddie scored from the corner. And I think Preston looked at him and went, yeah, we'll have a go with that. We'll try and offer him a bit of stability. But he really got hit with the unlucky stick because I believe he ruptured his Achilles, which is a huge, huge injury for a football. If you rupture your Achilles tendon, then that's you not playing football for a long, long time. But by the sounds of it, he's out of the treatment room now, and he's getting back to his fitness. And he does have the backstory of potentially being a player Paul Warne could mould into a very good player. It's just that he needs to buy into the idea that we've got if we are to pursue him. But he could be a very, very good second striker, at the number 10 position, because he's put on record that's where he likes to play. So it could be something that we look at, but I do think it would have to be a very favourable wage to us. Certainly not $8,000 a week. You'd have to drop that a fair bit. But, will he drop it for stability, or will he want to try it at a club that can offer a bit more money? I'm not sure. I mean, my personal prediction, he'll end up at like an Ipswich or a Sunderland or something. The club that are willing to take the risk but can also pay the big wages. But if he does end up with us, I think we do need to back him, like majorly back him, because after a torrid season with Preston and his injury, he just needs backing. I think if he gets the backing, then he'll perform out of his skin. But I think if we get on his back too quickly, again, all speculation, but if he get on his back too quickly, he just won't perform. But if he does sign, I'll be backing him. And we don't have to pay a fee for him as well if he does sign, which is a bonus. He knows Paul Warne because he's played under him before when he was on loan. But not as a permanent manager. Now that Paul Warne's a permanent manager, he might have a bit more freedom to do as he pleases with Izzy Brown. I mean, personally, I would like him to sign. I'd like him to sign and see what he's all about, because he could be a real asset. But it's just that, that injury thing. And a lot of people brought up in the comments, it's that injury thing where it's a bit about it.
Yeah, but that injury thing's got to end at some point. And if you look at his injuries, they're all really random, aren't they? It's not like he's done his hamstring 7 times. I'm sure he had a hamstring, but he's done his Achilles tendon last time. I think he's done both his knees with ACLs. They're just sort of random injuries, which I know suggests he's got problems with his body. His body's letting him down a bit, but he's not got a hamstring problem or a calf problem or a hip problem. It's just things letting him down a bit. So I think you're right. If you can get him in and get him playing games, he's only 25, and that's a good age. If you get someone like Izzy Brown in your team playing at 25, he could take the place. He is good enough on his day, mate. We've seen him on his day. He is absolutely good enough to be a top-end championship player. But it's just about getting him fit, and that's a big question.
Make no mistake, he is. There's no doubt about it. I know he was one of Chelsea loanees, the sort of $3.5 million Chelsea loanees that they've got, but. You don't get that. You don't get in that club without having something about you. And we saw it when he was with us. I personally would welcome him back with open arms if it wasn't for the injury situation. Whether that is now over and done with, I don't know. He'd have to go through a medical anyway. So listen, for me, a cracking player. I always loved him when he was with us. I thought he was great. And had lots and lots of potential, but obviously he was very, very young at that point. So as people keep mentioning in the comments, they're absolutely right. Are you out the frying pan into the fire there, getting rid of Mikael Miller, who is he's probably just as good a player potentially, and then sign another one who's going to be in the same boat. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Difficult. No, but free of injury, I'd have him in a heartbeat.
Paul Brock says, "Wonder if Izzy Brown's injuries are any different to Mikael Miller's situation?" Yeah, it's a very, very good point. But again, if you can get something appearance-based, significantly appearance-based, that I assume Mikael Miller's original contract wasn't, because I don't think it was injury-prone. I think that's where we could enter the situation slightly differently. We'll see. Danny, of the list of players you gave me, which one do you like to talk? We'll save Volks for in a minute. Who else do you want to bring up next?
Oh bloody hell! I've forgotten who I sent you. Wait! Don't give it away. I'll find it on the text. Hang on. Here we go. Right. Let's. Should we keep it with Preston and releasing players? And should we go to Tom Barkhausen?
Tom Barkhausen, yes.
Hey.
Again, I'll go through these stats for people that can't see the screens. Tom Barkhausen's released from Preston this summer. Only 27-year-old, so good age. He plays on the right-hand side. Not played too much in the current last season, on 14 appearances, 0 goals, 2 assists. And his salary, again, is rumoured. These are all rumours, obviously. We don't know their salaries exactly, but rumoured to be about $7,500 a week, which again is probably the high end of our bracket. Yeah. So what do we know about Tom Barkhausen, Danny, other than he's played quite a lot in the Championship throughout his career?
Yeah, I've seen the past couple of seasons actually that our fans have mentioned potentially going after him, and I think this season he must have been out of favour with Preston because he's only made 14 appearances, but to still get 2 assists, that's not too bad. I think it could be one of them players where if he gets a run in the side, he'll find his feet and get you a fair few assists and a couple of goals. Much the same with Chio. And I think he could be a very good, not just a backup, but like an interchangeable winger with Chio on that right-hand side. That is if we don't bring anybody else in on loan to cover the right-hand side. But yeah, let me just hover over my own notes at the minute. He has got a very, very decent transfer marked value at 1.8 million. So it's a good job he's a free agent. And yeah, it could be a very, very good asset for us. Again, we are all speculating here, but could be a very good asset. Like the position there says right winger, so definitely a contender with Chio. But if Chio's playing more up front, is that in that second striker position, then he could just be out on that right wing and make it his own. And he's got the long throw, and Paul Warne likes a player with a long throw. We've got Harding already, and now we've got potentially could have another one. Yeah, it's one of them times where I just go, well, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his top football manager stat, which literally means nothing, but his top stat is long throw according to the Football Manager. Yeah, which is 16 out of 20. Mick, I don't know what I'm going to ask you to get any sort of positive response, to be honest with you. What you thought?
Do you want to ask me about about getting your stats off Football Manager? I mean, I don't know. It's just I don't know.
It was just something to put on, to be honest. It's just an interesting thing. Shows the strength of it.
I don't know anything about the bloke, so I mean, is that right hand side somewhere that is worth spending $6,500, $5,500 a week on a player who's not going to get in if Chio's playing? I don't know.
But if Chio's going to play as almost a second striker,
yeah, I get that. Yeah, it
depends on what we're going to do, because I don't know too much about Barkhouse. I don't think he's a right wing back. And I think for me, I think we're going to play 3-5-2 again, or 3-4-2-2, or whatever it is, or 3-4-2-1. Sorry. So does he fit into that right wing back role, which Chio can? If that sort of makes sense, then I don't know. That would be a massive struggle. If we can't play right wing back, I don't think we're going to sign him anyway. We'll probably not sign him anyway.
What I will say is that through the various rumour mill accounts that are on Twitter, which apparently Matt runs at least 3 of them now, he hasn't actually been officially linked to us.
Right.
But it would be a signing that it could be a signing that if we do unfortunately lose Chio for however many millions, it'd be a very, very strong backup. For playing in that sort of same position that Chio plays in, the more advanced position. I mean, not like the wing back position. But I think this one could come down to: would he want to come to us? Would he want to potentially not really move up a wage, sort of thing?
If he's local to living in Preston, it's not like he's moving to London or something like that either, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, that is a very good point. But again, it's that thing of being a player. Do you want to be involved in what is effectively going to be a relegation scrap from being a comfy mid-table team? Maybe not. But I'm sure Rob Scott, in his infinite wisdom, will have at least written down Tom Barkhausen's name onto his list.
It'll be a name they've talked about. Whether it goes any further in the conversation, I'm sure it's a name they've mentioned.
Yeah,
She's
definitely.
got championship experience, and that's what you look when you come up. That's what it comes through. Paul Brock says, "Seeing Tom play, is he really 5'7"? Has to be wrong." That's what Transfer Market says. That's what Transfer Market says his height is. That could be wrong. Who knows? Baz Green says he doesn't think Tom Barkhouse is any better than what we've already got, which again, yeah, is a good point. I probably agree with that. AJ Miller did say in the comments earlier, literally mentioned Tom Barkhouse as a player. So yeah, interesting one. Shall we go for Joe Rafferty next, Danny?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Joe Rafferty, another Preston release E. Again, a right-hand sided player. He's a bit older at 28. Again, not many stats last season, not many games last season. 8 goals, 8 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist. Salary make much better, $4,000 a week. I said much better, like we're going to be signing him. What we should do next time is put like a shirt and tie on and pretend it's like a board meeting, as if we're going through all the time. Make it proper like Football Manager style. But a right back, so potentially if Chio is going to play that more central role, we are going to need cover. We are going to need somebody else other than Harding to play those roles sometimes. So right back could potentially be an area we look to if we don't bring Tutu back.
Yeah, possibly, but with legs like in that picture, he's not going to stop a ball going through him, is he? The defence is probably not the right place for him. It's going to depend very much on how we play it, and like you said, Matt, I don't see us straying very far from the formations that we played this season. In which case, an out-and-out right back is not really on shopping list, is it? So again, it's not a player that I know anything about, which is unsurprising, really, based on the amount of research that I've done for this particular episode. Don't know, mate. Sorry, no help Emma whatsoever.
Brilliant. You'll be able to help on next one.
Yeah.
AJ Miller seems like we're playing a robbery at Preston. Well, they're letting them go for free these days. You can't steal what's given for free. So, Danny, what can you tell us about Mr. Joe Rafferty?
Well, I can tell you that in secret, Paul Warner and Richie Barker have been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption, and that's why we're going for the Preston robbery, because it'd be like robbing a train, wouldn't it? But anyway, but yeah, so with Joe Rafferty, like it does say, he is more of an out-and-out right back. But then again, we signed Wes Harding as more of an out-and-out right back, and he's able to play on the right side of a 3, but also as a little bit more of a wing back. This could be a similar case because we know that Reg like to play on the right-hand side of the back 3, and Joe Rafferty does have experience at playing on the right of a back on the right side of the centre back position, so that could be why we have a look at him. Again, it's all speculation, and this isn't. I'll call it an official rumor, but it isn't. Basically, it's not been mentioned on Twitter at all, so we are doing our own research into this one. So if you want to give us a job, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. But it just goes to show that in his appearances, he has got goals and assists in him, but he's just not appeared as much as we'd like. He's a little bit strong, but you can also see why Preston is releasing him. It could be a solid option on that right hand side. I don't think he's much of a bombing forward right wing back or even a right back, but if we want to have a little bit more defensive security, certainly he could do a job on the right side of a back 3, just pushing out on that right hand side. I think he will be another one that will be like on a list somewhere. It's certainly on our list, but it could be an asset, but like we all say, we're all just speculating, aren't we? But it's nice to dream.
Baz Green says, "Come on, guys, these players are no better than we've already got. Let's aim higher." Okay. Next, I present to you the one that has been heavily linked. I say heavily linked. I assume these are lazy accounts like I used to have. Will Volks is another name that has been linked very strongly. So again, let's recap the information we have as it stands. We know he's 28 years old. As things stand, his contract is expiring this summer, but from the news reports I've read, there are no confirmations whether he is going to be offered a new contract or not. All we know is it's expiring. They are having a big turnaround in players. I think it's Steve Morrison's first proper summer as permanent manager, so there is going to be turnover at Cardiff. He's made 36 appearances in the last year, 2 goals, 2 assists. You'll be surprised to know, Mick, that his top stat on Football Manager is his long throw. Would have thought that. His salary, Paul Warren's already mentioned that the Wolverhampton salary could become an issue. Again, according to Salary Sports, he's rumoured to be about 14 grand a week, which is not far off 10 grand a week, more than we would probably be willing to offer. Let's start with this one, because it's similar to Izzy Brown. I suspect it's another one of those that you would think, yeah, he'll come back. We would take him back, all things being equal.
I don't think there's any doubt about it, is there? You know, he was a hell of a player for us, and another leader on the pitch. You know, he's worth that money. He's one of the few players. Well, not one of the few, but you know, he's not one of those players that's robbing that amount of money and you know, sort of not even turning up every week. You know what you're going to get from Wolverhampton, and you're going to get 100%. So I'd be surprised if Cardiff don't renew his contract, but you just don't know, do you? It depends what high-flying ideas they've got about how they're going to play the football next year. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'd have him back in a heartbeat, no question. But I won't pay him 14 grand a week. You'd have to go back down to Falkirk money to come back.
Yeah, probably would. I think Cardiff, if they're not out of their parachute payment window, they will be very shortly, which I suspect is the reason why. I think they're probably out of it by now, actually. Danny is a leader. That Mick's just said, he is a leader on the football pitch. He's obviously much younger than Richard Wood, but you could see him in a few years' time being a Richard Wood type leader. He can tick, other than wages, he ticks all boxes because we know he's Wolf Holtz.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it is that wage that is the massive sticking point of this. Would he drop his wage back down to link back up with Paul Warren? I think if he was to do that, then we know what Paul Warren's pulling power's like. Yeah. But personally, I can't see it. But this one is on the official linked list, the rumour list on Twitter. So we're now into the rumour mill, the Twitter rumour mill. But I think I can't remember if I read it from a Paul Davis article or something, but apparently Volks either rang or texted Paul Warren on the bus back from Gillingham. And he did express his desire that he would want to come back and play under Paul Warren, which is a big statement from a player who's moved on to a bigger club and a bigger wage. But Paul Warren, I think, put cold water on it by saying wages, basically. You know, we won't be able to pay him what Cardiff are paying him. But if he doesn't renew his contract at Cardiff and he's willing to drop it, then, yeah, I'd take him back in a heartbeat. And he'd definitely be a strong mind in midfield, both defensively but also with his long throw. And I think it's a nice parallel to Barkhouse, who plays in that position. If you want to go defensive, we'll probably play Volks. But if we want to have that ball that goes out wide and then into the mixer with the centre forward, then we can play Barkhouse there. But it would be a very big juggling act in the middle of the park because we'd had Barkhouse, Volks, Wiles and Rathbun, and even Lindsay if he decides to stick around and not move on. So that's a big mixing pot, but it would be probably the strongest midfield that Rotherham have ever had in the modern era if we were to get those 5 centre mids in.
Yeah. No.
I'm getting excited. We should have done this. I'm getting the thought of Will Volks back in a Rotherham shirt. I think we'll leave that. We've got 4 or 5 other ones, haven't we? We are going to go through, but I think we've run out of time tonight, to be honest with you. I do enjoy this. No, Mick is less so, but I love playing Football Manager. It's just great. It's just you're almost pretending to be the board and stuff like that. I know it doesn't mean anything, but if these players do sign up, I hope we've given people a bit of information. Will Roebuck. I feel like a proud dad watching Volks meet Barkhouse and Rathbone. Yeah, I agree. Paul Brooks is not sure if we have Cole Stockton on our list, but the rumour is he does want to leave. That is potential. Yeah, we probably will cover that in a future episode.
I have heard the rumour about that this is from Alan Nixon, a journal who I think's up in Scotland. He said wages wouldn't be the issue; it'd be the fee we'd have to pay Morecambe, which basically means we'd have to break our transfer record to sign Cole Stockton. We'd have to pay Morecambe probably above what we played Plymouth for Ladipo 3 years ago. Was it 3 years ago? Yeah. So would we
Smith
break
goes, you've got the cash,
yeah, exactly. If Smith goes, we've got the cash to get Stockton. But I think it is one of them where it's circumstantial. Like if Smith goes, then we move for Stockton. But we need to learn what Smith's doing first. If he commits to another X amount of years on a new deal, then that's Cole Stockton's name not on our list anymore. And I think a lot of these are now circumstantial. Especially talking about Tom Barkhouse, and it's circumstantial. Like if Chio goes, I think with Volks, if we were to move with him, because there's the investment there, and I'm sure Tony would try and at least offer him a contract if Paul really wanted him. But again, it's circumstantial. Would we want 5 midfielders of that quality if they were all to stay? Probably not. And I think the funniest thing about all of this is that we've not even touched June yet. We're still in early May. The season is still ongoing for some clubs, and we've been linked with 5 players already. 4 on Twitter and 1 that I've got on my list from a friend. And it's like we're not even halfway through May, lads, and we're already talking about this. But it's good content, isn't it? And it gets us talking and ready for next season.
It gets me in mood for football again. I know I said literally just finished, but it gets me in mood to watch us again next season. I don't know anybody else. Jerry Ann Simpson, do we think Wilesy will stay? One word answer, Mick.
Yeah.
Cool. And Dean Catley says, hope none of us said Barry Bannon. Mick, Barry Bannon?
Listen, do you know what? One thing I would say, in all seriousness, taking the partisan hat off, he is a hell of a player. We've said it, and he's a hell of a player. And he's getting stick. He's getting stick off Wednesday fans, which I find incredible. Absolutely incredible. But there you go. It's not a problem.
Incredible, but not surprising.
No, not surprising at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Ethan says he'd love to finish school on Friday, look at his phone and see that Smith signed a 3-year contract. We all. I think if Smith signs a contract, should we do an emergency podcast? We need to get some emergency protocols in place for the summer. Certain people sign and whatnot. Well, I'll draw a list. I'll draw a list of some rules if X, Y, and Z happens. We'll do emergency podcast.
You can just picture it. It's announced that Smith signed his 3-year deal, and we go immediately live on YouTube, and it's just like the an air raid siren going off.
Yeah, exactly.
So those scrambling to a computer as well. So air raid sirens are going off. It's like this is not a drill.
Brilliant. A lot of those names we asked for people to put on Facebook and Twitter who they wanted to sign. With a couple of those, and we've got a Plymouth guy, which we'll talk about next time as well. We'll keep coming. We'll keep doing those till the summer. I find them interesting. I know Mick doesn't, but me and Danny certainly find them interesting. So we will keep doing those. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Group number 600. If you haven't already followed us on Twitter, please do follow us. We're like 25 away from 1,000 followers on Twitter, which should be an incredible number to hit. Bear in mind where we started just a couple of years ago. So I also want to. We tweeted this out of the day, I think, but we want to thank everybody who pays attention to this podcast, looks at the website. I think I told Mick the other day. I don't know if I told Danny. We were looking back at the stats comparing this year to last year. We've had over 500% more interaction with you listeners compared to the previous 12 months. And that's only because you guys are listening to us. And if you
it's Mick's rants. It's Mick's rants flag. That's what it is.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Please do subscribe. We'll be back on Sunday, which will be a good old laugh at our stupid predictions. You may have been listening to us for the past few months thinking we know what we're talking about. You will find out on Sunday that we do not. And then we'll talk about rumours. Gaz Wazza says he saw a rumour today about Kamara at Plymouth. He's on our list. We will talk about him. I think our return list will probably be out. If I had to put money on it, I think it'll be out Friday. So we'll talk about that. If it's out next week, we'll talk about it next week. Mick, You've been very quiet the last 20 minutes. It's not like you.
There's no to moan about, is there really? And being the age that I am, that seems to be my. It seems to be what it's expected of me, really, isn't it?
Would you like to have a quick rant about VAR being in the Championship playoff final and not in the semis?
No. Okay. No. I'm a bit worried about is if they start with this VAR light next season for us. But having said that, had we had that last season, we were in Championship, we'd have stayed up.
We would.
So assuming that they were able to operate it properly. So,
Brill. Thank you. As we always say, please subscribe if you haven't already. Please follow us on Twitter and Facebook if you haven't already. If you are listening through iTunes or Spotify, make sure you follow or subscribe. And if you can give us a 5-star rating on iTunes or wherever else you find your podcasts, that would be lovely. Like I said, we'll be back live on Sunday evening through YouTube, back through Monday morning for the podcast. And we are speaking to some former players next week. The talks start. Monday evening, we are scheduled to be speaking to Andy Roscoe. Neil Richardson will be coming on at some point. There have been some questions put in to some other players. Whether they come through or not, they probably won't, but we will keep trying. And we'll see what happens. We'll just keep doing this throughout summer anyway. Mick, pleasure.
Thank you very much. And you.
And Danny, when your Wi-Fi came back up, it was a pleasure.
I'm going to have to go and start hitting it with a hammer again, aren't I? Damn you. But yeah, always a pleasure.
Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Credits on one-on-one. Credit, finish, shoot, container shot.